every single year, on the exact same day, I pick up my phone and call a number I know will never answer. And somehow, that's become the most important call of my year. We don't talk about grief like this, but maybe we should. Because the quiet rituals we build around loss are some of the most powerful things we do as human beings. It started small, almost accidentally, the way the best traditions always do. The first birthday after my grandmother passed, I made her arroz con pollo badly, I'll be honest, because I didn't know what else to do with my hands or my heart that day. Here's the thing nobody tells you about grief. It doesn't just sit there waiting for you to process it. It follows you into the kitchen and stands next to you while you're trying to remember if she added the sazon before or after the sofrito. And that confusion, that reaching back into memory to get a recipe right, is actually one of the most neurologically powerful forms of remembrance that exists. You're not just thinking of someone, you're rebuilding them through action. The contrast between what you imagined grief would look like and what it actually looks like is almost absurd. You picture yourself standing at a grave in the rain, and instead you're standing at a stovetop at 2 p.m. on a Tuesday, crying because you added too much cumin. Psychologists have a term for this. They call it continuing bonds theory. And it basically says that maintaining a symbolic connection to the deceased is healthy, not avoidant. But for a long time, cultural messaging told us to move on, close the chapter, let go, as if grief were a browser tab you could just click the X on. The irony is that the people around you, your family, your friends, often react to your rituals with this mix of deep recognition and complete surprise, like they forgot they were allowed to do this too. The first time I put out a plate for my grandfather at Thanksgiving, my aunt looked at me like I had just said something both ridiculous and exactly right. Now other people have joined in, and what started as one person's private act of stubbornness has become something genuinely communal. That's the hidden system at work here. Grief is contagious in the best way, and one person's ritual gives other people permission to have their own. Historically, virtually every culture on Earth developed formalized mourning rituals precisely because humans discovered that unstructured grief without anchor points tends to metastasize into something harder to carry. The Day of the Dead, Obon in Japan, the Jewish practice of Yahrzeit, these aren't morbid traditions. They're brilliant emotional engineering. And yet, somewhere in the modern Western world, we got the idea that remembrance should be quiet, private, and eventually discontinued, which, if you think about it, is a pretty strange way to honor someone who is loud, present, and very much here. The miscalculation is in treating grief like a project with a deadline, rather than a relationship that simply changes form. The practical lesson from all of this is genuinely simple. Pick one thing, just one, and do it on a consistent schedule. It doesn't have to be elaborate. It can be lighting a candle, watching their favorite movie, making their specific order of coffee. What matters is the repetition, because repetition is how the brain encodes meaning. What's beautiful and slightly absurd about these rituals is that they grow and evolve and sometimes completely embarrass you in public. I once started quietly singing a song my dad loved while in the middle of a grocery store, and a stranger asked me if I was okay. And I had to explain that, yes, I was fine. I was just having a moment with the canned goods section. The reactions from family tend to fall into two camps. People who immediately want to adopt the ritual themselves, and people who need about 3 years before they admit that they actually love it. Both responses are correct, and both prove that you've done something that matters. There's a philosophical argument to be made that these rituals are less about the person who is gone and more about who you are becoming in their absence. You're not just preserving their memory, you're letting their memory preserve something in you. And that reframe changes everything, because it makes the practice feel less like looking backward and more like carrying something forward. We are all, whether we acknowledge it or not, in the business of deciding which parts of the people we loved will survive inside us. And the rituals we choose are the answer to that question made visible. Discipline, consistency, and showing up on the hard days, whether in markets or in memory, are always what separate the people who drift from the people who endure. And if this moved you at all, subscribe and check out all our other topics.